So as you can see, today the news is dominated by this judgment on same-sex marriage, right? So before we begin, what about yesterday's homework? Sahel region. You must have spent some time understanding what is Sahel region. Yes. What else? Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act basic provisions. So till what time, according to that law or act, termination of pregnancy is permitted? First step 1 is directly 24 or 20? Step 1 is 20. Till 20 who can give permission or who can go for abortion? Any condition should be there till 20? Required RTPs, registered marriage. Okay. RMPs. Okay. Registered medical practitioner. After that, should there be any abnormality or something or up to 24? Okay. After 24, medical board should be there. So after 24 also they can go for abortion, huh? If the medical board says yes. Then why are people coming to courts? If there is no abnormality, then the medical board will say no chance for abnormalities. Only in rare and exception conditions you have the chances of having a abortion. Okay, abortion, right? Fine. Okay, so I hope at least you have an idea. So there is something called as Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act in India. According to that law, whatever is happening is being discussed. Okay, and did you find out any source for the spending of water and agriculture? Niti Aayog website is not opening. Okay, fine. Right. Now coming to this. Okay. Even did they mention any source? No. They must have some source, right? So what is that source? Source should always be mentioned. Okay. So try to keep reading so that one day you will find the accurate data. Now coming to this article, at least 500 killed in Israel airstrike in Gaza Strip. Right. So this is what. Where will you use this? Is this important? Why? Human rights. Okay, humanity. See, human rights are given to everybody who is a human being, right? Again, there is a discussion whether it's a person or a human being and all those things. Let's not go into technical details. Your country constitutions do not give you human rights. Human rights are given to all humans, right? So that is a universal declaration of human rights. Even they are not granting us. By virtue of you being a human being, you have some basic rights. Okay, and there is something called as Dharma Yuddha. Okay, see, no matter what you do, there is some basic ethics. Yes or no? Ethics and values. So, did you deliberately target a hospital or was it just an accident, collateral damage, etc., etc. is one thing. But obviously, if you have chemical convention, chemical wars, etc., or you are not supposed to attack hospitals, why do you do basically all these things? It's basic human decency. It's basic human decency. But unfortunately, here both sides are not following the basic human decency. Who are suffering? Civilians are suffering. So ultimately you can drag it into ethics of war in your GS paper 4 or human rights in general understanding. You can use this article. Okay, what happens when human beings lose their basic values, dignity? It will lead to atrocities. Okay, even through state. Clear? Next. Now applying the same logic to here. Now what did Supreme Court say yesterday? Supreme Court say it cannot legalize same-sex marriage. Supreme Court cannot, won't. Think about it. Supreme Court cannot, won't. There is a huge amount of difference. Yes. Sorry? It has passed it to Parliament. Or first of all, it is the responsibility of the Parliament. In a country, law has to be made. Law has to be made by whom? Legislature. So legislature is not willing to make a law, then it is sent to, or then it is burdened on the judiciary. Yes or no? Who are burdening the judiciary? The petitioners are asking, don't we have human rights? Don't we have basic rights? Then obviously rights have to be protected. Who has to protect the rights? Everybody. The protector is Supreme Court. So what did Supreme Court say? Supreme Court in so many words said, yes, you have all the things that you need. But unfortunately, the capacity to make law is with the Parliament. If Supreme Court says some things, okay, that will be equated to judicial legislation. Okay, that will be equated to judicial legislation. So here judicial legislation is very clearly not supported by all the 5 judges. All the 5 are very clear that we don't want to enter into the domain of what? Executive. Okay. Second thing, we had a hope through the discussion. Last 5 months discussions were happening, articles, debates and all these things. We were thinking probably Supreme Court will go for civil union in a way. Right? But Supreme Court very categorically said, I understand all your problems. You should not be harassed. There are a lot of problems, issues and all those things. But ultimately the decision has to be made by the Parliament. Why? Did you think about the why part? See, Supreme, again I am not taking that, simply think about it. This is not be, or this won't be the first time where Supreme Court came and made something in judicial legislations, right? Technically speaking, even giving legitimacy or decriminalizing section 377 is domain of Parliament. Yes? Then the problem is ramifications. What are the consequences? Is society ready for that? Okay, and who is willing to accept all these changes? For example, there is a discussion yesterday. The minority bench was in a view that anybody can go for adoption. Even single mothers or same-sex couples can go for adoption in a way. Then the other judges were saying that is not safe in a way, right? So again, as I keep saying repeatedly, very simple argument. Let's say 2 men or 2 women have adopted a child. Okay, they are a couple. Now they have divorced. Okay, who will take care of the baby? Is it safe for the society to assume that the baby will be safe? You get my point, right? I hope you understand. The concept here is very, very delicate. And see again, Chandrashud, Chief Justice of India very clearly says these points. Okay, I am not repeating him. He says your inability to more or less deliver the full services, that does not mean you should not pass such a law. Okay, consequences are part and parcel of any law changes. Okay, that should not stop you from making a law. This is the view of Mr. Chandrachud. For example, we have a nomenclature, that is wife and husband. When you go to fill an insurance form, you will fill wife name, husband name. Now in a same-sex couple, who will fill what? Okay, so there are simple solutions like nomenclature changes, gender neutral nomenclatures, agent 1, agent 2 or something like that. I'm not going to the debate, but the simple thing is it will only add more burden, more headaches to the state. So in the wisdom of the court, it believes that the society is not yet totally ready for judicial legislations or impositions. So it has to be done through dialogue, debate and discussion in the Parliament. Okay. Now the question is Indian Parliament ready to have this discussion? Is Indian Parliament sensitized enough to understand what is same-sex marriage? Yes or no? We are a country where we are still treating people of LGBTQ orientation as people with disease who can be cured, treated, etc. Okay. Now imagine 300-400 MPs coming together discussing on this topic, very deliberate, like very nicely debating, deliberating on all these things and coming with a positive outcome or any outcome for that matter. What will happen if there is a special parliamentary session for LGBTQ, right? Indians will get to know about what is LGBT in the first place. There will be a huge amount of awareness. Okay, so let's hope that Indian Parliament is progressive and we will have a debate soon on the same, right? How many of you believe that yes, it is possible one day the Parliament will pass a bill? Next 3 years. Next 30 years? Definitely possible. So give me a timeline. Roughly. Not 3, not more than 30. So 5 years down the line. Sorry? Euthanasia also. Again, Supreme Court has to give a judgment. No, Parliament has nothing to do with. Yeah. If they don't have any political mileage. So if they have a political mileage, they will debate and discuss about it. Okay. Yesterday in Indian Express, the article was arguing, if you are going for Olympics, the country won't be judged not only on infrastructure, the country will also be judged on multiple parameters. For example, woke Janata might consider India as a backward country. India is still not recognizing the LGBT same-sex marriage rights. No, we have to appear like a progressive nation. So is accepting LGBT a progressive state? Like allowing same-sex marriages, is it a problem? Are you getting my point? Yes. So the thing is, as I simply put, the society is still not in a position to first of all accept the LGBT community, right? Then comes the marriage. So this is a step in right direction. Whatever instructions given by the Chief Justice of India to sensitize the police, not to harass them, etc., will act in the progressive direction. But probably maybe 5 or 10 years, within 5 to 10 years, India might see a progressive legislation supporting same-sex marriages. Okay. See, apart from UPSC discussion, generally, personally speaking, okay, you should be happy that at least LGBT is recognized. Don't cry that it's not extended to same-sex marriage. There is a huge amount of progress without even realizing, right? India is actually having legitimacy for the LGBTQ community. What if even that was not there? That would have been an even bigger harassment. Yes. So slowly states will change, right? Again, this is about anti-defection law. See, people should have some basic shame. First of all, the thing is, when you are representing a constitutional body, when you are representing a constitutional post, okay, you are supposed to uphold the constitutional values. That is the most important thing. Constitutional values are the most important thing. Supreme Court has already given an instruction to the governor of a particular state saying you have to take some decision on anti-defection law case. Okay, but that person is not even taking some steps. So then the Attorney General has to promise the Chief Justice that I will sit with him in Dasra holidays. Okay, we will have a discussion, right? The concept here is not with one governor or one post, one speaker post. Okay, the problem here is what? The problem here is with the institution. Yes or no? See, there is a term called as institutional fragility. That means institutions will become very weak from inside when you damage it slowly. In letter and spirit, there are so many laws, there are so many institutions. But people who actually control the institutions are not doing anything, then the institution is as good as dead. Yes or no? You have a traffic constable standing there, you are not wearing helmet, he is not stopping you. Okay, what is the purpose of him being getting salary and you having civic sense? Your lack of civic sense is reinforced. Yes or no? Your lack of fear is reinforced. Then will you ever even bother about helmet? You'll probably bother about forgetting your wallet, mobile, but you'll never be bothered about forgetting a helmet. Yes or no? So institutions have to reinforce the value system every single time. That means every time an MLA jumps from one party to another party, he should have a fear that I will be disqualified. On a normal grounds, I should be disqualified. I should go for re-elections again. People have trusted and voted me. Those who don't know, we are simply talking about MLAs electing on one seat. For example, you won on TDP seat. After winning the elections, you are jumping to YSRCP. That is betrayal of the trust of people. Why did people vote for you? Because they like TDP, not only you. So when you change political party, you are also changing political ideology. So no, TDP has a different ideology, another party has a different ideology. So when you change, you are supposed to be punished, or you should resign and change. So anta ethics unta in the discussion enduku. If we had so many morals and values in politicians, we wouldn't be having this discussion. Here Supreme Court gave a warning that you should have a time limit for the decision of the judgment. So పాలిటీ అయిపోయింది కదా మీకు, యాంటీ డిఫెక్షన్ లా తెలుసు కదా మరి ఏదో కొత్తగా చెప్తుంటే విన్నట్టుంటున్నారు. ఓకే, సో ప్రాబబ్లీ సుప్రీం కోర్ట్ విల్ బి ఫోర్స్డ్ టు యూజ్ ఆర్టికల్ 140. Probably, yes. Has it used it earlier? In Manipur case, Supreme Court has invoked Article 142. There also Supreme Court did not set the timeline. It just requested the representative not to attend the assembly. Okay, I hope you get the point. Next, this is a prelims question. This is about algal bloom. What is algal bloom? Algae and bloom. Algal bloom, right? So the C is in red color. Why is C is in red color? Why? So this is also called as red tide algal bloom. Why will algae bloom? Because there is huge amount of nutrition that is available for the algae. Probably you can link it to lack of proper solid waste management. Yes or no? When you are dumping so much into the lakes, rivers and oceans, automatically you are feeding the algae. Okay, in environment and biodiversity book, one day you will read all these things, algae bloom, but just keep an eye, it is happening in India also. Okay, right. What else is important in today's newspaper? Right. ST status for Métis. So I hope you remember that there is a state called as Manipur. Recently it was burning. Manipur only? Mizoram? Manipur only? Pakka? What are the tribes that were involved? Kukis and Métis. And any other group? Nagasa. Lokale takku. Sumant? Kukis? Métis? Antena? Rendena? What is the third group? Gottilla? Same only? Even CM belongs to one group. That is not the question I said. How many groups are involved? State is encouraging the mighty. You have official report from the state. That is an acquisition, no? It is alleged that state is supporting the mighties. You have always, you are supposed to always add that word allegedly. You should never confirm things which we cannot prove. Okay. Second things. See, this kind of articles act as a revision. First of all, who lives in valleys? Who live in hilly areas? Mighties, Kukis, Zo. There is one more group, right? Okay. Next, what is the problem? The problem is there was a march in March or April. Okay, that the people are demanding for ST status. Okay, and it was denied to them. And this is not the first time that it has been denied. It has been denied earlier also. So there is a legal precedent. Okay, so what are the major takeaways from this article? The first takeaway from this article is Mighties are considered as a dominant group. They are considered as a dominant group in the Manipur. Okay, and Registrar General of India considered the same. Then later, the state government also took the same suggestions and said Mighties are as good as OBCs. I mean, they have a comparison. If Mighties are Hindus, probably they are like Kshatriyas. Okay, because they are having such a good status, political power and social conditioning, they do not require ST status. This is a summary. Now, what should be there so that I will be considered as an ST group? See, not all tribal groups are scheduled tribes groups, right? Government has to recognize them as scheduled tribe groups. Even in India, there are so many groups which are neither STs nor PVTGs, that is particularly vulnerable tribal groups. They are there. Okay, so what is the criteria that is used by Registrar General of India? Based on the Lokur committee, this is the criteria. This is a prelims question. What is the criteria? The tribe should have what? Primitive traits. Primitive traits. Then it should have a distinct culture, geographical isolation, shyness of contact with larger community, and backwardness. These are little bit different from PVTGs. Okay, but you have to remember, at least according to which committee? Lokur committee. These should be the criteria for tribes. Okay. Now who is Lokur? Madan Lokur. Okay, different I guess. So what I'm trying to tell you is these are important criteria. So a group should have backwardness, primitiveness, shy of contact, etc. And all these things are more or less clearly missing from mighty groups. Okay, Government of India is not having a plan to change this decade-old criteria. If they update this, what will happen? Few groups might go away, few groups might come in. There will be a huge amount of mess. Yes or no? So in government they will have a policy. Don't repair unless something is broken. Okay. Ministry of Tribal Affairs also tried to update this, but they stopped shy of making any changes. It is working nicely for the government. Okay. So that is a major takeaway from the article. I hope you will remember this criteria. Prelims questions will come definitely when you write mock tests. Mock tests will have this criteria, PVTG criteria, that is particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Okay. Demolishing the frame from outside the constitution. Okay, see, when you read this article you feel like there is lot of value addition. Actually that is not the case. Okay, for experienced UPSC aspirants or for those who know, there is a simple word. What is that simple word? Letter and spirit. We can distill this article into two words, that is letter and spirit. In letter, constitution have some things. Okay, as long as the executive uses the same letter to bypass the constitution or to dilute the constitution, Supreme Court is not doing anything. For example, electoral bonds. State had all the power in the world to create something called as electoral bonds. It is being implemented. People went to court also, but that is pending from 2018. So did state do anything wrong? No. Did state dilute RTI Act? Is it in its power? Yes. So state have whatever we call as power. So using the same constitutional law, that is law, letter, okay, state is doing lot of things. Okay, but the thing is, what should we bothered about? We should be bothered about something called as spirit or essence. Yes or no? Law is not only the word, law is also the spirit. So when the spirit is destroyed using the letter, okay, the courts are not doing anything. The courts have to become proactive so that the destruction of constitutional values using letter will stop. That is a summary of the article. Okay, so what should we do? We should implement the constitution and its values in both letter and spirit. Who should protect us? The judiciary has to protect us. Okay, so in yesterday this abortion case, Supreme Court has used the word conscience. The court's conscience won't allow. Okay, court should not sleep also if court has a conscience. Why? There are so many things that Supreme Court have clearly mentioned and are not implemented. We'll start with the most basic things. For example, precasing judgment, police reforms. Police reforms are mentioned by Supreme Court. No state actually gives a damn about precasing judgment. They are doing whatever they want to do, more or less. Very few states, for formality's sake, they follow. Okay, what is court doing? Conscience. It is bothered about conscience. Okay, again I am not blaming the court. See, it is the nature of the executive to be slippery, foxy. Why? It is the executive which will do things at the grassroots level. They will always look to do the things in the easy way there rather than in a right way. Okay, I won't blame the executive. The nature of executive is to be slippery. Recently there is a very popular YouTube video where a female SP is giving explanation to a judge, and the judge is asking, why did you arrest a woman along with her baby at 4 a.m. in the morning? The team under her arrested a woman, okay, at 4 a.m., 4 or 5 a.m., okay, and they also brought the baby with her. Okay, the explanation from the police side is what? Sir, the baby and mother cannot be separated, the baby was crying, so we had to take her also. Okay, then the judge was asking, why didn't you wait for 6 a.m. when the sunlight is there and all these things? Okay, the explanation of the police officer, though was not meeting the letter standards, in spirit we can understand what she is going through. In spirit she was repeatedly saying, the woman and her husband both are known criminals in that area. She doesn't have any crime record, but she is unwritten dawn. Husband is the face, wife is also the criminal. Okay, they wanted to intimidate her in a way. Okay, maybe they could have waited for few more hours. You get my point, right? At the grassroots level, only the police officer know how bad she is. But when they have committed some silly mistake by arresting her at 4 a.m. rather than wait till 6 a.m., the criminals are using the same letter to punish whom? The police officers. What is the emotional aspect they added? The baby is also taken to the police station. If you look at only the letter, see, judge is not blind. I'm not at all saying that judge is blind. Judge also knows more than me. He understands ground reality. What I'm trying to tell you is, if you go only by letter, okay, there are certain things you can do right, certain things you will do wrong. But at the same time, you cannot beat the essence. I hope you understand. Okay. So as Nietzsche says, never become what you are fighting for. Right? That means you are fighting a criminal. You are also doing intimidation tactics. Then what is the difference between you and him? Clear? So that is a summary of this article. The summary of this article is okay, this paragraph, like, democracy, structure, composition, practice, treat all members of all communities, individuals with equal respect, concern, freedom of speech, expression, everything should be given to everyone. Okay, this is happening in India. Okay, we are trying to treat everybody equally. There is a fear that some groups are not being given enough freedom, etc., etc. What is truth, what is lie, all of us know. Okay, the concept here is, should Supreme Court be the sole responsible authority for what? For implementing constitutionalism in letter and spirit. Okay, should we accept finally that yes, state will be state? He concludes by blaming the Supreme Court. How the courts respond to these challenges may determine not only the fate of the people but also of the court. If court does not stand up to all these things, then what is court doing? I hope you understand. Yes. Now, definitely, is there a problem with the executive? Yes. The nature of executive is itself a problematic thing, right? They will have too much power. They will have too much power, and there is always an asymmetry between the state and the citizen, or state and others, right? So, state will be state. It is a responsibility of the judiciary to keep the state under the control. But thanks to overburdened judiciary or some other interest in the judiciary is also not living up to the expectations. Now the problem is, if judiciary is proactive, we will call it as judicial activism. If judiciary is not doing anything, we will blame judiciary. Where do we draw that golden line? Jago grahak, jago. Yes or no? Unless citizens are awake, okay, unless citizens are proactive, educated, working for the welfare of the country, nobody can save. Not the executive, not the judiciary. Both of us have to come together, all three. Who? State, judiciary and citizens. Yes or no? Only then we will have some hope. Yes? Very simple article. Centralized procurement as a powerful health idea. Okay, what is centralized procurement? See, there is economies of scale and there is a bargaining power. Let's imagine I am a pharmaceutical company. I will buy 30% of your produce. That means I can go to a factory and they say, and I will buy 30% of your produce, give me medicine at a cheaper rate. Okay, the company will give the medicine to the company at a cheaper rate. Then using my logistics, I can spread the medicine throughout my medical shops. This is centralized procurement and distribution. Okay, the more efficient my distribution network and more higher my bargaining power, more profits for me. I hope you understand. Simple logic. What he's saying is, in government setup, in government sector, especially in the healthcare, government is going for localized procurements or individualized procurements, not centralized procurements. If the state can procure goods in a bulky way, okay, the price will come down very drastically for the state, which already is happening. At the same time, state can distribute it among various mechanisms. So he cites an example of franchise. Just like McDonald's, he takes Vada Pav as an example and he says, if each and every franchise, for example, let's say McDonald's, every McDonald's shop has to procure its own bun, procure its own potatoes, tomatoes and all these things. Sometimes it will become cheaper, sometimes it will become costlier. But what is normally happening? McDonald's procures all these things and it distributes it among the franchises. Okay, so that is their logistics management. If a private company can do that efficiently, why can't government do that in a medical setup? What are the advantages? More bargaining power to the state, is stock maintenance, probably less corruption, then timely distribution of medicines and all these things. He cites an example of NACO, National AIDS Control Authority. Okay, National AIDS Control Authority procures contraceptives, okay, using this centralized procurement mechanism. See, India had made a huge amount of, probably you don't know this organization. In December 1st, whenever you read articles, AIDS and all these things, NACO comes into the picture. That is a single, apex authority for AIDS control and all these things. National AIDS Control Authority. They are working fantastically well. They are doing good things. One of the most efficient way to control AIDS is by distributing contraceptives throughout the country. Yes or no? In dabas, outside dabas, etc. I mean, you can find contraceptives everywhere. How are they able to do that? One of the reasons is the article says centralized procurement. By centrally procuring, they will not only create the quality standards, okay, they will also make sure that it is profitable for everybody involved. Win-win scenario. Clear? So, why government has if government can procure money, if government can save money, the money can be used elsewhere. So this is the advantage of centralized procurements. Okay. I hope you read the editorial. So same points whatever we have discussed. So as I mentioned, the point is the majority, that is the 3 judges, are not in a favor of queer couple having a right to adopt. Okay. Next is same-sex couple to cohabitate and free from coercions and threats. Right. So the court is very clear that they should not be harassed and targeted and all these things. Next is government will form a committee to decide the rights and entitlements of queer couples. Okay. See, the major disagreements agree in adoption, inheritance, basic things like insurance, applying for a form, etc. All these things have to change. So government will create some committee. The committee report will come in 2-3 years. So we'll have some idea about it. Okay. The thing is, in Tamil Nadu, a judge had forced the Tamil Nadu state to release a vernacular document related to the LGBTQ community. Tamil Nadu is the first state in the country which have a vernacular translated terms. For example, LGBT, lesbian, gay, transgender, queer. What are their equivalent Tamil terms, legally recognized terms, not negative connotation with positive connotation, and what is their status? All these things have been released by Tamil Nadu government, first state in the country. Again, that is not out of free will of Tamil Nadu government, it was forced by the state. So there was also some news, right? Every state is now free to pass its own law to allow same sex marriages. Okay, so the thing here is, we need first of all, see, right to privacy judgment came. From privacy judgment came the dilution of 377, that is legalization of LGBT recognition. From there it is supposed to follow to the marriage, but between recognition and marriage the society needs to get some awareness, the society needs to be made ready. I think in India right now what is happening to the 2023 judgment is, society will be more aware now, society will be sensitized, the system will be sensitized. After that probably we will be ready for same sex marriages. Okay, no, it won't happen. Why? It will happen sooner than later. Yes or no? Indian society is always a progressive society. We moved away from sati, then we can move away from anything, right? No, don't you have hope? Yeah. It takes time. Timeline, how many years?
I cannot say that until and unless they experience a couple in their own families and homes or in some close circles. I mean, I'm talking about society at large.
Yesterday, while I was following the news, live tweets were coming instantly, like that. So, Chief Justice says same-sex LGBT is not some urban elite concept. He categorically mentioned that it's not an urban concept, it's not an elite concept, it's not a woke concept, something like. Immediately there was a tweet below that, it's nothing but a woke concept in few minds. Okay, society is nowhere even closer to actually believe that LGBT, they're having.
I do agree, but recently I've seen a family where they came up with a lesbian marriage. When the proposal was there, the mother side and the relatives understood. I mean, they did not say go ahead, but at least they
were considering it.
But the father side was not okay.
Nothing doing. Then.
So what I felt was, only when they get to see and listen to the stories like that in their real life, when they are encountered with those scenarios, maybe then they get, there is hope for change. There is one Telugu movies, I'm not recollecting. Nitya Menon's movie. So it is also about same-sex marriage.
Okay.
So in some way or the other, this awareness and sensitization will happen and take time.
It will take time.
What I feel is like, instead of waiting for the society to accept, do a discussion, make a legislation, then people will understand and follow suit.
Okay.
I don't think it will find a lot of resistance.
Okay. Nice. Right. Let's see. We'll hopefully see Indian society progress very soon, right? Or we have already progressed. This is regression. No. I thought this was about some parliament or some assembly. Right. So, Wildlife Protection Act. We are talking about Wildlife Protection Act. When tigers and jackals get the same protection. So, jackals, all of you understand jackal, right? What is jackal? Jackal telida. Nakka types. So, tigers, all of you know, right? So, this is about Wildlife Protection Act. This is also a prelims question repeatedly asked. There are schedules. There are multiple schedules in Wildlife Protection Act. How many schedules? Updated 4 only, not 6. 6 is old data, no? 5 or 4 homework. Okay. So there is an updation for Wildlife Protection Act. It has multiple schedules. Now what the article simply argues is, you have thrown in thousands of animals in one list. Okay, there is a rat snake, according to the article only. There is a rat snake, which is a very common snake, and there is king cobra. Okay, as a forest conservator or as a wildlife enthusiast, okay, where should government prioritize? Should government prioritize on rat snakes or king cobras? So in simple terms, what the article argues is, prioritize the list. Okay, tigers are more important than jackals, or some birds are more important than owls, common owls, barn owls. Okay, so he simply argues that list is good. There is no problem with the list. You are trying to bring it on par with the sites. Okay, the thing is, because there is lack of prioritization within the list, okay, the focus is very scattered. That is his argument. Why? He brings this example. For example, spotted deer is a invasive species in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Okay, that is protected under Wildlife Protection Act, Schedule 1, which is like most protected animal. So I cannot do anything to the deer. Why? I will be arrested. The government obviously cannot be doing anything. It is supposed to implement the law. But what is the deer doing to Andaman and Nicobar Island? It has destroyed the vegetation and herpetofauna, right? That is both amphibians and reptiles. Okay, reptiles and amphibians are both affected by the particular thing. So the problem here is what? Your own law is also destroying the environment. So please take care of the list. The list should be based on what? The list should be based on should be tailor suited to the ecology, species biology and context. You just cannot throw a list and say throughout India it is protected. So one area it needs protection, another area it is an invasive species. Clear? So that is his argument. And second argument according to the authors is these are all practical examples, right? The problems of the law. He says, the Tree Preservation Act of Kerala and Karnataka prescribe the felling of native trees. I cannot cut down the native trees. So what do the plantation owners plant? They plant some invasive species or something which is not even suitable to that particular area. Why? I can cut it whenever I want to. See, the purpose of protecting native plants is what? So that they will spread, nobody will destroy it, probably people will go for afforestation. But by making the law, it is acting as a disincentive to plantation. Nobody is planting native species. Why? If you cut down native species, that is a problem. Now opposite is also true, right? If I remove the trees from the list, what will people do? They will indiscriminately cut the trees. I hope you understand. Yes. Say for example, this is a tree. I am saying this tree cannot be cut in this particular area. Okay. Because of this, trees like this are not being planted by others. Okay. At the same time, if I remove this tree from the list so that others will plant, this tree will also probably be cut. There is a practical problem, right? You have to deal with people at local level. There is always that local involvement. Without involving the local population, without involving the local stakeholders, you can never succeed in especially conservation efforts. Yes or no? You cannot make top-down centralized laws and expect it to succeed everywhere. Local conservation or nature conservation should always come from bottom-up approach. Okay, top approach will work for macro things, but when you are too specific for a diverse country like India, okay, it won't work. Okay, so like this, he cites this example, the Andaman and Nicobar Island example, and then he also says, okay, We don't even talk about the psychological aspect of people who are affected by the animals. For example, we should not kill elephants, or elephants will attack human beings, leopards sometimes, etc. What about the people? Should we prioritize people's values or ecosystem? So he says coexistence is not that easy, right? Hmm. The paragraph that I have highlighted is the key. So certain state governments will allow culling of certain animals. What is culling? Killing of the animals. Why? Those animals are problematic. But if you are not considering the local problem, and if you are putting that animal in the national list, then the states will not have any power. No? So what is he suggesting? The authors are simply suggesting that the protection and scheduling of the animals should be done on the basis of that particular ecology, probably tailor suited for that region. It should be based on empirical data, and at the same time it should make sure that they are involving the conservationists, ecologists and others, so that better policy formulation will happen. See, we cannot give the state full permission. Red sandalwood will be promoted or gone? Yes or no? I hope you understand, right? Giving too much power to the state is not a good thing. At the same time, not involving the local community is also a bad thing. So we have to find that golden mean where both of us will work together along with the people who care for the planet. Okay. So that is his simple argument. If you don't remember this article in the long run also, no harm. What should you do? Your basic prelims homework is what is Wildlife Protection Act, what are the schedules, okay, various schedules under it, and what is the protection that is accorded to different animals. Next one is what is culling, is it prohibited or allowed under various schedules? Is culling allowed under various schedules? Culling is allowed, culling. Which species? Vermin are allowed. Now vermin is there. Wildlife Protection Act amendment తర్వాత వర్మిన్ ఉందా? తీసేశారా? ఉంది అని అనుకుంటున్నారు, చదవలేదా? గుర్తులేదు. వర్మిన్, వాట్ ఈస్ వర్మిన్? ఎప్పుడైనా విన్నారా? మీకు తెలియదు. వర్మిన్ ఏ షెడ్యూల్లో ఉంది ఇప్పుడు? తీసేశారా వర్మిన్ని? వీళ్ళు గుర్తులేదు అంటున్నారు. ఏం పర్లేదు, రేపు కనుక్కొని వచ్చి చెప్పండి వర్మిన్ అంటే ఏంటి, ఏ షెడ్యూల్లో ఉంది, అసలు వైల్డ్ లైఫ్ ప్రొటెక్షన్ యాక్ట్ షెడ్యూల్స్ మార్చారా లేదా అని చెప్పి. మార్చారు, అదైతే కన్ఫర్మ్, సంతోషం, రైట్? ఓకే. So we will simply try to understand one word. What is that one word? Synergy. What is synergy? What is the meaning of the term synergy? Various okay. Any other way, any other meaning for the term synergy for simple, for a beginner layman understanding? చూడలేదా? Two things reinforcing each other for a better outcome. Okay. Can output be more than the input? Can we call it a synergy? When you are putting efforts, for example 1 plus 1 is supposed to be 3 or 2. Okay, so whatever the answer is, CSAT question, right? So the thing is, if 1 plus 1 is 8, 9. Technically, we will consider it as synergy. That means when the things come together, the outcome is much bigger, greater. Okay. So synergies have to happen means when synergy leads to greater outcomes. Okay. So this article is talking about something called as sustainable developmental goals. Sustainable developmental goals are not in the right track. Why? We clearly have a data. What is the data? Only 15% of the 169 targets of the 17 sustainable developmental goals are in the progress, and the world needs huge amount of money to achieve sustainable developmental goals. See, normally I say, right, 17 by 169, that is 17 sustainable developmental goals with 169 sub targets. We have to reach them. We have to reach them for whose sake? For humanity's sake, for greater good of humanity. But that is now nowhere in the picture. Okay. Second thing, investment gap in sustainable developmental goals in developing countries could be greater than $4 trillion, and just 2 trillions is needed only for energy transition alone. What is the size of Indian GDP? 3 to 3.5 trillion dollars. Okay, what is the amount of money needed only for developing countries to progress the sustainable developmental goals? $4 trillion. Okay, who is going to give that money? Technically, developed countries are supposed to transfer from developing countries. All this won't happen. So, in simple terms, sustainable developmental goals won't be met by 2030. Then we will have new goals. We have MDG. MDG change it to SDG. SDG will become VDG. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam developmental goals. Okay, right? Okay. The point here is what? The point here is about people not coming together for sustainable developmental goals. Example, he cites synergistic outcomes. Now imagine, see, let's not go into technical details. Electric vehicles are being promoted in India. Who is promoting electric vehicles? Indian government have some policies. For example, Delhi, FAME scheme, etc. We are promoting electric vehicles. Electric vehicles are supposed to be reducing dependency on fossil fuels. It will also help us in reducing air pollution. Because of reduced pollution, what will happen? Improvement in health is supposed to happen. So that means the investment in one area should also help in multiple other areas. There should be positive spillover effects. I hope you understand. Simple logic, right? So synergy means you create policies or you take steps in such a way that one thing will impact another thing will also impact the another thing. So like that, overall we will achieve the sustainable developmental goals. So this article specifically says, while we are achieving this much to an extent, okay, this is not happening. There is no synergy between the steps taken by air pollution and improvement in air health quality. Okay, so if we can synergize, if we can bring multiple areas and solve it through one problem, then that is improvement, no? I hope you understand. So synergies should be there. So that is a summary. Synergy means what? Take steps in such a way that whatever you are investing in one area will also have implications in other areas. Okay. For example, if you invest in the health of a girl child or education of a girl child, it should also improve her health, it should also improve her skills, it should also improve her ability to survive, etc. So many things have to be touched upon. So synergize everything. So one thing should always lead to another thing. There should be a interlinkage. It's like one stone, multiple targets. Synergy. Okay. I think it's something that you can use in the answer writing, right? Synergistic impact. Opposite will also be true. That means if you are investing only in one area and you are spending too much time, then there won't be any synergy. Clear? Yes, I hope you understood what is synergy at least today. Synergy is, in simple terms, you are putting this much amount of effort, but the outcome is much bigger. So synergy have to happen even in your preparation. Clear? Yes. Any questions? See, there is a article about this LGBT marriages. Okay, and there is also, after a long time, Pratap Banu Mehta article today in Indian Express. Those who don't know, Pratap Banu Mehta is foremost intellectual political scientist in the country. So you may or may not understand everything that he is saying. So don't worry about it. But try to read articles by Pratap Banu Mehta, C. Raja Mohan on a regular basis. Okay. Okay. So we'll see any interesting articles in Indian Express. If you are not able to understand the Supreme Court judgment, there is a good explained article. Two views on 4 key issues. If you read this explained article also, you'll understand what is the majority judgment, what is the minority judgment. Okay. Yeah. Any questions? I hope you are reading papers. Keep reading. And some of you have messaged me on Telegram and the chat, right? So we will discuss about whatever you have messaged. If you have any questions, keep dropping a message on the Telegram. I will respond after the class also. Don't think that chat is the only way to have a dialogue, right? You can message me on Telegram. Okay. See you all soon. Seismical, seismic, earthquake, anything. Participatory. In which context have you read that topic? GS3 question. Participatory budgeting. Okay. Have you read this year economic survey? Did you come across that term? Any other questions? Right. See you tomorrow.